Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Extreme Rules. It is going to be one heck of a pay-per-view. The WWE did okay with their horror show at Extreme Rules, but let's do one better. We have got some big matches planned. Let's run those through for you right now. We can confirm opening up the show is going to be a war. An I Quit match. Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio. These two obviously had a eye for an eye match. We're not doing eye for an eye. We're doing I Quit. Seth offered Rey a spot in the Disciples. Rey turned him down. Will it be the biggest mistake he's ever made? Or will he shut Seth Rollins up once and for all with making Seth say those two little words? We will find out in the opening matchup of the pay-per-view. Start as you mean to go on. The Intercontinental Championship will be on the line. Sami Zayn defending against Big E. Will Big E finally break out and make himself the star he knows he can be? Or will Sami Zayn's reign of terror continue with a victory? Big E and Sami Zayn have got the Intercontinental Championship to contend for. On Raw, the United States Championship's on the line. Andrade and Aleister Black, two big talents, two big talents on the Raw brand. They've done it before in NXT and had a classic with the United States Championship on the line. What will they do today? Now, last month there was a big controversy with Kevin Owens winning the Money in the Bank briefcase for a day. Due to a fast count from a referee, the briefcase was made vacant, and we will get a winner tonight. A ladder match between AJ Styles and Kevin Owens, and one of these two men will walk out with the opportunity of a lifetime with a shot at the WWE Championship whenever they like. Will it be Styles? Will it be Owens? Will it be a classic? I certainly hope so. Tonight marks the Queen of the Ring final. Who will be crowned the first ever Queen of the Ring? Will it be Asuka or Shayna Baszler? They've both fought to get here. Asuka has beaten Charlotte Flair, and she is in real momentum, but so Shayna has beaten Liv Morgan in the semi-finals to get here. The winner of this one will not just be Queen of the Ring, but will also be number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship, while they'll take on the man Becky Lynch at SummerSlam. This could be very interesting. The Smackdown Women's Championship will be on the line. Bayley and Sasha Banks have been steamrolling through the Smackdown Women's division as of late, but tonight they might find themselves on opposite sides. Bayley puts the title on the line in a triple threat elimination match. Ember Moon is in there to try and take the title away from Bayley, but also is Sasha Banks. Sasha, who holds the Money in the Bank briefcase as well. Will one of those two, Moon or Sasha, take the title from Bayley, or will Bayley continue to be the best SmackDown Women's Champion of all time? On to the two title matches then, and a fatal four-way will decide the Universal Championship. Braun Strowman, who suffered an injury on SmackDown but will be able to be coaxed through this one, he will put the title on the line against Reigns, Bryan and Sheamus. Strowman does not have to be pinned to lose the Universal Champion. It's going to be four top talents going at it for the belt. Who will walk away with a title? And don't forget, The Fiend. He has promised he will be here tonight, and he'll have an eye on this matchup in particular. And finally, the WWE Championship is on the line. It is Drew McIntyre, the current champion. He's held it since WrestleMania, since defeating Brock Lesnar, but this is a test that he may not be ready for. A rejuvenated, a legend killer, Randy Orton, is here to put a stop to Drew McIntyre's potential legendary championship reign. It's Extreme Rules pay-per-view, means an Extreme Rules matchup. Will it be Drew or Randy Orton that walk away tonight as WWE Champion? A hell of a card then. Let's get to it. We're going to open up then with that brilliant, hopefully brilliant, I Quit matchup. Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio. Good start to the show then. As you can see, an I Quit match gives us a 73 rating. Seth 79, Rey 61, and that is a pretty good start to the show. But as you can see here, Seth Rollins defeats Rey Mysterio, makes Rey say those two words, I quit. A man who never quits. Seth has made him quit, putting Seth over big time here. This is a big victory for Seth Rollins. Let's not play this down. A big Big victory for Seth Rollins. Now, Ray's momentum isn't great at the moment as it is, so it's not great that we've had to have him lose here, but this was the whole point of the feud. We've got to use the legendary status of Rey Mysterio to push Seth back through the roof again. He's got some big plans coming at SummerSlam. So, Seth wins. Seth wins. You can say that they have an absolute brutal matchup. I remember Rey Mysterio in an I Quit matchup against Chavo Guerrero. I'm not sure if you guys remember this. It was on a Smackdown, I believe, and Rey gets his knee torn up in some sort of structure, and Chavo wheels away with chair shot after chair shot. Go with a similar thing here. Rey's not going to be injured. He may miss a few weeks, but he's not going to be injured. But Seth is brutal. Seth is vicious. Seth is evil. He's evil here. And he destroys the legend of Rey Mysterio right here, like he said he was going to. 73, good start to the show. Yeah, it has a spectacle matchup, and it did really well. Nothing really bad. Rey was penalised for his poor momentum, like I said, and struggled a little bit on inconsistency, but Seth killed it. I'm not sure he was penalised for inconsistency, but that's it. But Seth killed it. Really, really, really good. After the matchup, the doctors come out. Rey needs attention, and he's loaded up onto a stretcher as Seth is celebrating on the ramp. He's watching it, and he switches. Seth attacks the stretcher, attacks Rey Mysterio, who's tied to the stretcher, and launches the stretcher off the stage for a 79 rated segment. Not sure why there's no commentary, but luckily I'm talking it through anyway. This is even better. Seth is a monster right now. He is pure evil. And Rey Mysterio is the victim of Seth Rollins here at Extreme Rules. Seth is put over big time. Next up, the WWE Intercontinental Championship is on the line. Will Big E make himself the star, or will Sami Zayn continue to hold the belt? The winner and still Intercontinental Champion, Sami Zayn. Zayn defeats Big E in about 15 minutes. A hell of a matchup too. 74 from these two is very, very good. A storytelling matchup, but they killed it. A 69 from Zayn. Big E 66, but a 74. I wonder what boosted this so much. Bonus from the road agent work, the announcer chemistry, the high title prestige, a hot crowd. Really, really good stuff. Good placement on the card here after the I Quit match. So that worked for us. And Zayn retains the title. But as you can see here, Kofi Kingston was involved in the finish. Kofi, he got in a brawl with Shinsuke Nakamura at ringside, and it spilled into the ring. But it caused the distraction for Big E, who backed up away from the brawl into the corner, standing in the turnbuckle. And as Kofi and Nakamura brawl out of the ring, Big E turns his head into a haluva kick from Sami Zayn, and he knocks Big E senseless, and Zayn gets the victory. 1, 2, 3. Big E loses, but he's distracted by Kofi in the finish. Sami Zayn retains the title. This may not be over. After the match, Sami Zayn is celebrating, Big E is down, and Kofi takes the moment to hit a Trouble in Paradise on Sami Zayn, getting a bit of revenge in his eyes for his New Day teammate. 64 for the segment. We're continuing to move this Intercontinental Championship forward. Kofi's laid out the champion here. Big E is still down, so you wouldn't have seen it, but Kofi is the man that stands tall at the end of the segment. The following contest, though, is the final of the Queen of the Ring tournament. The winner of this one will go on to SummerSlam to take on Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Champion. Asuka has made her way here by beating some big talent. She's beaten Nia Jax. She's beaten Charlotte Flair. Meanwhile, Shayna Baszler has beaten Bianca Belair and has beaten Liv Morgan, who will go on to SummerSlam. The winner is Shayna Baszler in a 77 rated matchup. That is brilliant. Baszler defeats Asuka. Massive win for Shayna Baszler here. 67 from her, 76 from Asuka. Really held it together. And a 77 rated matchup with Becky Lynch watching on. Shayna with a monumental victory here, putting herself back towards the top of the division. She is the first ever Queen of the Ring. These two would have a good matchup. I think they had some good matchups in NXT, if I remember right. And they may not have actually had a match in NXT. Anyway, these two would have a great matchup. I believe that. And Shayna gets a victory. Some of you may have predicted this, particularly when I opened up the tournament. We needed a challenger for Becky Lynch, so we wanted to build someone up with that challenger. Hopefully this victory does that for Shayna and pushes her up into a really good popularity, so she is there as a hell of a challenger for Becky Lynch at SummerSlam. It should be a great match. I mean, I can book it in for you now. I'm not going to show you a graphic because I probably won't have done it yet. We'll show you a graphic on Raw if need be. But that is the match for SummerSlam announced. Becky and Shayna. Now, as Shayna is celebrating, Becky Lynch enters the ring, championship on her shoulder, for a face-to-face with Shayna Baszler, who does not take it lying down. And of course, a massive brawl between the two women. Wow, between the two women opens up. Lynch and Baszler brawl. There are loads of producers have to run out and referees have to run out to try and break these two up. These two, will they even make it to SummerSlam without ripping each other apart? An 88 rated segment. Wow. Becky Lynch and Shayna, this could be a great feud. They are killing it right now. Unscripted, nailed this brawl. Becky and Shayna at SummerSlam. Let's have some fun. We then cut backstage to AJ Styles cutting one more promo on Kevin Owens before a hell of a ladder match, hopefully. 72 for a very good promo. This pay-per-view has killed it so far. AJ is confident going into the matchup. He says, look, I've grown up in my career with ladder matches being a thing for me. I am an athlete that everybody is jealous of. Kevin, not so much. But you know what? Tonight I reclaim what is mine. What I won in a ladder match at Money in the Bank. Tonight I take my next step back to the top of this company by winning back my briefcase. 72 for the good promo. So AJ and Kevin Owens in a ladder match. Who will win Money in the Bank? Will it be a match of the year contender? Let's find out. AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, ladder match gives us a 70 rated match. So it's definitely not match of the year contender. I feel like the game screwed us a little here. If you look at the popularities, the in-ring performances, 80 from Styles, 78 from Owens. They killed it. Great chemistry. Kevin Owens took a stump bump, but as you can see, AJ Styles wins back his Money in the Bank. A 70 rated match is still good, but it's not as good as it could be. I want to see what's brought us down here. I really do want to see what's brought us down here. Penalised for declining for his lack of heat from the storyline, I guess, and the crowd was high already after some great matches, so I can understand that after that 88 segment really brought it up. 70, it isn't what it is, what we expected, but AJ and Owens have still put on a hell of a show, and AJ has won back his Money in the Bank briefcase. AJ now has that contract, and will he be a thorn in the champion's side? You bet he will. 70 for the matchup. Next up then, let's move on and let's move to a United States Championship matchup. Andrade is the current champion, but he's got Aleister Black right on his tails. He's back from injury and he has terrorised the champion so far, who will walk away with a belt, the winner. And still, United States champion Andrade. 76. Better than Styles and Owens, weirdly. A really good matchup. And as you can see, an interference from Zelina Vega, Aleister Black's wife, by the way, means Andrade retains the championship. His 9th defence of the title. He's having a good reign. 71 apiece for in-ring performances. These guys have killed it again, but don't think this is done. Do not think this is done. Aleister Black will be coming back for another shot. You bet he will. 18:59 it got, and they killed it. Really pleased with this. Really pleased. It's a win that's going to help both men, hopefully. A hot crowd, and they have killed it. But let's talk about the fact of something I haven't revealed yet, is the fact that in-game, Zelina Vega has announced that she is pregnant. So when she interferes, she wouldn't have taken a bump. Of course she wouldn't. But she's only got about 2 weeks left before she goes on maternity. So we're going to have to try and write her out of storylines. I have an idea Let's see if I can make it work. Afterwards, Andrade is celebrating and the lights go out again. And another bloodbath. Another one for Andrade. Just a message here that Aleister Black won't be done with him. And he has these supernatural abilities that mean he can send these messages. 72 for a good segment. Now let's continue this. It's been a good pay-per-view so far. So let's continue this with what is perhaps one of the most interesting matches on the card. It's a triple threat match for the Smackdown Women's Championship. It is elimination style, but it's who's in the match that makes it interesting. The Boss and Hug Connection have been dominant on SmackDown over the past few months. Bayley with the SmackDown Women's Championship. Sasha with the Women's Money in the Bank briefcase. But in the middle of the two is Ember Moon, who could have beaten Bayley 2 weeks ago, but Sasha got involved. And Stephanie McMahon says, fine, at the pay-per-view, it'll be a triple threat. It'll be elimination style, and Sasha has said she's not pulling any punches. It's a title match. Let the best woman win. It's Bayley, it's Ember, it's Sasha. This should be good. The winner and the new SmackDown Women's Champion, Sasha Banks. Well. Ignore the eliminations. It was meant to be the other way around. But, wowzers, a big title change here. Bayley has lost the title. Let's talk about in-ring performances first. Gets us to 63, which isn't fantastic. 56 from Bayley, 48 from Ember, 60 from Sasha, who wins the title but was off a game, which is a shame. But let's talk about it. So first elimination will be Ember Moon hitting the Eclipse on Bayley. Banks and Bayley team together as much as they can to try and take on Ember, but Ember hits the Eclipse out of nowhere. Bayley is pinned 1, 2, 3. Sasha couldn't stop it, and it means Sasha and Bayley are left, and Sasha takes it upon herself to win back the championship for the Boss and Hug Connection. Bayley is just watching on in shock from ringside, and Sasha gets Ember Moon to tap out to the bank statement. It is a big win for Sasha Banks. She's already got the briefcase. She now has the championship too from her best friend. Sasha and Bayley. Well, this will be interesting. Post-match, Sasha celebrates with a title for a 62 rated segment. Bayley still watching on in shock. Don't miss SmackDown next week. Do not miss SmackDown next week. From there, we move on then to the first of 2 World Championship matches. It's going to be the Universal Championship. It's a fatal 4-way. Braun Strowman putting the title on the line against Sheamus, Roman Reigns, and Daniel Bryan. The winner and still Universal Champion Braun Strowman. So let's look at this. 74 from this is very, very interesting, considering the fact that Braun had limited involvement, we put on it, because of his injury, and he had a 67 performance because of it. It affected the matchup. I think this would hit 80 if it wasn't for that, which is a shame, but it is what it is. Reigns 80, Bryan 82, Sheamus 63, a normal Braun had hit 74, 75, so yeah, it's still a very good match. Reigns took a stunt bump to take him out of the finish. The finish is Braun pinning Sheamus after a sort of power slam or whatever you want to call it. Braun stands tall with the championship. But afterwards is where it really gets interesting, because as Braun is celebrating, the lights start to go out in the arena. Dun, 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 dun. And here comes the Fiend. The Fiend is here. The lights go out, the lights come back on, and the Fiend is in the ring with Braun Strowman, standing, staring him straight in the face and looking at Braun. And just looking, not doing anything. He's just staring at Braun. Staring like this, creepily staring at Braun Strowman. Now Braun doesn't back down from a fight, and Braun throws the first punch, and Braun hits a power slam on Bray Wyatt. Braun thinks Bray's down, but Bray pops straight back up. Bray pops straight back up, or the Fiend pops straight back up and hits Braun Strowman with the mandible claw. Braun is laid out. The championship is down in the ring, and the Fiend is on top, but he disappears. The Fiend has taken out Braun Strowman, but don't look past the fact that it was Braun that threw the first punch. The Fiend promised to be here and he was here in a big way. The segment gets us a 66. That's interesting. I expected better from that, but I guess not. It is what it is. So, yeah, Braun and Bray. You can see where we're heading. Let's have a few fun weeks with that, shall we? Finally then, the main event, you may have guessed it already, will be for the WWE Championship. It's an Extreme Rules match at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. It's going to be Drew McIntyre against Randy Orton. Before we get there, Drew makes a really spectacular entrance, just to put the fact that this is a huge match for him. 66. Let's do this then. Extreme Rules, let's do this. The winner and still WWE Champion for a 78 rated matchup. Very, very good. Maybe could have been better, but very good nonetheless, is Drew McIntyre. He retains the title, a big win over a legendary superstar like Randy Orton. He is on fire here. 75 for Drew. Orton 80 is good. 78, no complaints. They'd have a good Extreme Rules matchup and kill it in the main event. But that's not where the night ends. So Drew is happy and Drew is celebrating. It looks like the night will end that way. Drew is on the corner doing his pose with the championship, and the little thing on the bottom of the screen, the little bug, comes on. It looks like that's the end of the pay-per-view when Drew is pulled off the top rope into an RKO from Randy Orton. Drew is phased. He's trying to get to his feet. Drew McIntyre. Randy Orton sees it. He's a bit frustrated. Drew's been in an Extreme Rules match already, so he's took a hell of a beating. And Randy hits another RKO to leave Drew down in the ring. Orton leaves. Drew is down. Orton leaving up the ramp. When the music of AJ Styles hits, and AJ comes rushing out with a referee and his newly won back Money in the Bank briefcase in hand. AJ comes down, they pass Orton in the ring, on the ramp, and Orton's like, right, Orton can't do anything. He could try and stop it, but you know what? He had his shot. It is what it is. Orton leaves. Styles rushes into the ring, and we have a Money in the Bank cash in. AJ Styles is cashing in on Drew McIntyre tonight. He's got his briefcase back. He is taking the first opportunity he can. He's cashing in. Drew groggily gets to his feet. The referee rings the bell. The cash in is official. And AJ immediately springboards into a phenomenal forearm. He covers Drew McIntyre. 1, 2... and Drew McIntyre kicks out. AJ can't believe it, but he gets himself together to try and continue. And AJ puts Drew McIntyre into the calf crusher. The calf crusher that's won him so many matches in the WWE. Drew is shrieking in pain. Drew has been in an Extreme Rules match. He's at 2 RKOs. He's at a phenomenal forearm. Now he's in this submission move. Surely now Drew McIntyre is going to tap out and AJ Styles will be WWE champion. But Drew roars. Drew picks himself up off the mat, his chest up off the mat, and crawls to the bottom rope. His hand on the rope. AJ has to release the hold. Drew is still alive. AJ thinks, right, one more phenomenal forearm will kill off this man. AJ to the outside. AJ springboards and Drew pops up and a claymore in midair. AJ is knocked out clean. Drew McIntyre covers slowly. Gets his arm over. He is spent. And it's the 1, the 2, and AJ kicks out. AJ kicks out of a hell of a claymore kick in the most dramatic of fashions. AJ kicks out of the claymore kick. Drew McIntyre is amazed. Drew McIntyre knows he needs to do something, so he picks up AJ Styles and goes, one thing that will beat him. The Future Shock DDT. He sets up AJ Styles for the Future Shock, and just as he's about to hit it, AJ counters and he flips Drew into the Styles Clash. AJ nails the Style Clash on Drew. It was at this point at 2 RKOs, an Extreme Rules matchup where he probably had more RKOs that he kicked out of. A phenomenal forearm, that he was in the calf crusher, and now the Styles Clash is hit. AJ Styles covers Drew McIntyre for the 1, 2, 3. AJ Styles is your new WWE champion. What an end to this show. 63 for the segment. It struggled. I'm not sure how you do Money in the Bank cash-ins on this. Let me know how you would have booked it in the comments. AJ wins. Drew loses nothing from this for me. Drew loses absolutely nothing. He's took everything Orton and Styles had to throw at him, but something had to give eventually. And AJ has found his way to the top of the mountain again. AJ has stolen the Money in the Bank. He's preyed on a weak Drew McIntyre and squeaked his way through to the WWE Championship. That's how we end, with AJ on the ramp celebrating with the WWE Championship. Major title change right here at Extreme Rules. Okay, that gives us a 79 pay-per-view. I'm going to have a look, but that might be our best one so far. A phenomenal pay-per-view, to be honest. A lot of the matches killed it. 78 for Drew and Orton. 74 for the Fatal 4-Way was pretty good. The women's title match was okay for 63. Aleister and Andrade, 76. I expected better from Styles and Owens, but it's fine. Baszler and Asuka was great, and that brawl was fantastic. Zayn and Big E was surprisingly good, and Rollins and Ray was fantastic too. What a match. What a match. Well, a show of matches, I suppose. I'm going to put some guys over. I'm going to give Drew, I'm going to give AJ I'm going to give him a hug. No, I'm going to point him out. I'm going to point him out as a good example. I'm going to praise Drew McIntyre for a great performance, and after that, I'm probably looking at Shayna. I'm going to give Shayna. I'm going to tell her that she's awesome. I'll make those speeches. Styles is pleased. Drew is pleased. Shayna is pleased. And the whole landscape of the whole company has changed. Just like that. AJ Styles is your new WWE champion in a shocker. Before the night started, he didn't have a chance of becoming WWE champion. He didn't even hold the briefcase. It ended with him walking away with the championship. Amazing. Let's have a look then at the show history and have a look at our best show. Is that it? I think that's it. And it's a joint best show. Smackdown had a hell of a match there, but it's our best pay-per-view. Backlash was a 76. Money in the Bank was a 71. So we're getting better and better. I think SummerSlam could breach an 80 because we've got some big matches planned. Wow. What a show, though. What a show. And if SummerSlam can beat that, we'll be on a roll. I just want to point out that there are some great Total Extreme Wrestling shows on the channel at the moment. Of course, the Network Savers continuing. We dropped a second video in that series last week, a week today, for example. So make sure you do watch that one. Team Raw all the way. Just saying, sorry, Stu. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of this. And we'll be back on Wednesday. AJ Styles is WWE Champion. Sasha Banks is SmackDown Women's Champion. We have got a lot to deal with.